are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We are inducting another Friday Night Movie sibling into the family today because we have with us comedian, writer, actor, director, Ester Steinberg. Welcome to the family and the show.
Thank you. I feel like I do fit in, even looks-wise. I'm just like, wait a minute, we're the Brady Bunch. Like, we're doing it.
But also, your comedy is, first of all, so funny and so real that I feel like we know you because we've heard so much of your
you know about my perineum.
There's that, but there's your comedy is just so accessible and hilarious.
And in that sense, you do feel like a member of the family because the details I have learned about my sister's own births, I wasn't in the room. They had my mom in there filming and talking and everything like that. So just there's a lot of details.
Your mom is shooting like a Kardashian documentary and everyone else is come on, pitch. I wish I had a video camera.
Our mom is like the Jubin Kris Kardashian in her own way, don't you think?
I wish I had that because then you guys are all obviously, and then no, it's good because then you guys all rise up together and start your own brands. You're like,
oh yeah, maybe we are. See, I always wanted to be like the Haim sisters of podcasting, but maybe we're really more like
Kardashian.
I mean, I'm Rob. I'm just on the outskirts. I've never shown up, but I have a lot of weird legal drama with my
and a luxury sock line or something.
I mean, I
wish
I was Rob, so I could just be wake up one day and be like, maybe I'll sell socks, and then everyone just rallies behind me, and they're like, you did something.
So, Esther, we are so thrilled to have you on the show because we've been watching your specials, but also your Instagram is truly one of the more hilarious Instagrams on the planet.
It's an odd day. It's an odd day that doesn't start with Shai, as I'm in the bathroom in the morning, Shai sending me from the middle of the night because he's always on his phone, your Instagram post, and I just have to write back. I'm like, I obviously already saw it today. You don't have to send it to me. I've already watched it. And he's like, this one's so funny.
Instagram is such a mind fuck. I don't know what people want. I don't know what people like. I know that I scroll through mommy advice and I'm either crying or it's some kind of
that's why you think it's
singing.
That's why you think it's a mind fuck. I've seen, don't get mommy
being a mother
on
being a mother on Instagram is a whole other beast.
Yeah, it's a homework assignment. Every time I open up Instagram, it's are you slicing the cucumbers properly? Because they can choke if you cut them in circles. You need to
they'll mess them up because they won't feel respected because you thought they could choke. But that means you obviously underestimate your child if you slice anything.
Or
no matter what you do.
No matter what you do, you're wrong.
Men barking philosophies on Instagram. I don't know who they are. I don't even know if they have kids, but they're the authorities now. And they're what they say, you don't tell a kid, you made me angry. You're making me upset. It's because then that puts the pressure on the kid to make you happy. And so the other day I was about to tell my kid, I was like, you're really upsetting me. And instead I was like, you're really
the worst.
I
think it's
annoying, period.
You're Justin.
Period. But I appreciate that you guys are interested in the videos. I work very hard on the yoga pictures. I work very hard on. I don't know what people want from me. Maybe this is good advice.
Well, yeah, the comedy, the observations, I've heard this term recently described Fleischman in Trouble, which is your casual Jewishness, the way that Jewishness is just part of your world really just feels
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It feels like one of us, observing things. And
I did change my name. Like, my name is Esther Steinberg, and then I changed it to Esther Steinberg Gardenswartz, and then Esther Steinberg Gardenswartz was my Instagram, and then I was like, well, professionally I'm Esther Steinberg, and it was just like, and I was like, how Jewish do I want to come across?
it's also like a lot of letters.
It's a lot
like
of letters.
10 out of 10 or an 11 out of 10. Like, those are the two options.
So we love talking about Jewishness. We love talking about comedy. So what comes first for you? Like, is your Jewishness fueling the comedy, or you were naturally drawn to comedy and the Jewishness just became a natural ingredient to being funny?
Okay. I think Jews have, or at least the Judaism that I was raised with, which is technically conservative, but also like going to summer camp and getting fingered in the woods. So it's like, I don't know. But there is like a non-judgmental version that I got, as opposed to maybe Catholics who were like shamed for this and shamed for sex and masturbating and blah, blah, blah. They're, especially being like the third girl, I grew up in a world where there wasn't a lot of shame around anything at all. And so I think that's attributed to Judaism. At least I wasn't like beaten with a stick and told by the nuns to shut up, like I really was in an environment where we were like, even some of the Jewish stories, I'm just like, wait, so Queen Esther was hot AF and fucked a non-Jewish king. And saved her people. Okay, got it. Like
her cousin kind of like pimped her out to do it.
Yeah, more pimped out Mordecai, like creepy cousin, uncle, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, got it. So I don't know, everything about Judaism just like led me to be able to speak my mind and say it how it is. And I do think like Jewish women are untouched. Like, I know like there's bad raps of like this guy and that guy, and like there's a couple Jews that were like, oh, I wish they weren't, male.
Yeah, we give those back.
Yeah, sure. And then we're like, look, like everyone's an individual. But then I think Jewish women are just pretty like untouchable. And I'm following in the footsteps of many loudmouth Jewish women who say whatever they want and on the right side of history, and like Barbara Streisand and like Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker and Joan Rivers. And I mean, it's like endless. Barbara Walters, like there's just an endless of women who are strong and opinionated and funny and speak their mind. And so I don't know what it is about Jewish women. Like who let us talk?
Well,
where other cultures, other societies are like, hey, you're a woman, like shut up. And then Jewish women are like, this bitch won't shut up, so.
Lily, Becky and I talk about this a lot. Our mom, we're very close with we're close with both our parents. We have the best parents, but our mom.
Is your mom chatty?
Our mom is
chatty?
The life of the party.
There's a saying in Spanish that is, you can't shut up my mom even underwater.
Like,
she'd like have a full conversation. So, if you're in the pool with her, she'd be like, "Oh my god, did you see?" Like under the water.
Our mom was born in Venezuela, lived in Cuba, escaped from Cuba,
but her family's Cuban.
Grew up in Puerto Rico. Grew up in Puerto Rico. Yeah. Jews. Smoking. Met my dad at Jewish summer camp, the same Jewish summer camp that we all went to.
Mm-hmm.
And any bar mitzvah that our mother is at, any bar mitzvah or wedding, even if she's barely invited, even if she's not invited, you will see her in the middle with the kid who had the bar mitzvah, dancing, just the two of them in the circle.
And especially during the hora.
I
mean, you know how people hire party starters and animators? Mm. You want a great hora? Just invite our mother.
I'm almost certain I got invited to several bar mitzvahs, like on the hopes my mom would come. And like it was very clear who they were expecting to be there.
Well, it is interesting, Lily and Becky. You are super fun, but you are. I would say you're less festive than mom. Like,
but that's not a fair comparison.
Yeah,
less festive than mom.
Going to be
struggling
70.
in like 9 Latin American countries. Like you don't have the kind of I'm celebrating my Jewishness and freedom. Like whenever, none of us are ever going to be as fun as your mom.
Also, like unparalleled energy.
We can't drink at the rate that he drinks. I mean, when we went to Vegas as a family. And we all have like little babies. I had like
and we saw Magic Mike, which is my favorite thing.
With my wife.
Favorite things.
Great Magic Mike
with my wife.
Yeah.
You took my wife.
Did you go to Magic Mike?
No, I wasn't allowed to go. I wanted to go.
The boys did the boys' night, and the girls went to Magic Mike. And by the way, for anyone listening, you have to watch Esther's special. She has this whole bit about going to see Magic Mike that is hilarious. We saw that same Vegas show, and so we go to the show. We see Magic Mike. You can't eat we have.
With our mom and our sister-in-law.
My mom, like
my wife is that person who Pony comes on, and suddenly everyone
she becomes an entire new human being.
Everyone at the cocktail party is getting a
Just hope that does not come on in the grocery store. That's just all I'm saying. So after the night ends, we've seen Magic Mike. I have like a 1-year-old in my room. I have to like go back to my mom. So disappointed that we will not go out and keep partying with her and keep dancing with her. Like, how could we let her down? Like crushed. Like we were so uncool to her.
A woman in her late 60s. She was like, "Oh, you guys are trash." Yeah.
That after Magic Mike, and I think we still like went and got more food and
we got one like a bit of food and one more drink and went to the casino a little bit, and then we were like, "Ooh, yes, good that time of night." And she was like, "You guys are losers."
I love that your mom's not like so stereotypical, like, oh, I'm a worried Jewish mother.
No,
like, remember issues.
She compartmentalizes a lot. No, she does do Jewish mom stuff. Like
she will be able to return something she didn't even buy at Nordstrom's. Like,
my mom as well.
The skill level, like that skill level of like that Jewish mom, that is true.
And your mom's like, remember to bring the Molly. You know, she's more.
I think I talked about this the other day. My mom does things like uses my AMC Stubbs account because she wants like the discount, right? Like, she's an adult. Like, you know, she
could get her own.
She could get her own. She can afford it. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
She wants.
I'm learning that you can just grab your kids like little punch cards and do whatever you want to your kids.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Our parents, they told us essentially, they're like, you will get in trouble for a variety of reasons, but if you stick together, the sentence will be reduced.
Oh.
So there was this notion, like we would get the like, one day we'll be gone and all you have is the other two. So that was like a lot of that growing up. So
good Jewish.
That's part of why we're bonded. There's a lot of Jewish girls. My mom called us. She's in Africa right now. She called me the other day to complain about Becky. She's in Rwanda on visiting a Jewishly made peace orphanage, and she called to tell me
that does not stop.
That Becky canceled a trip. Wants to know what I'm going to do about fixing her plans. So who's coming with me on the trip, Shy?
She's like,
I never committed to the trip.
She is Kris Jenner.
A little bit. I never thought of it that way. But I think
each one of you, and like you're gonna fill in that gap in this whole like. There's something extremely strategic about everything. I'm more curious to like. Okay, you guys have to stick together and then the punishment will be less. Does that mean she did not want you guys to snitch? That was also...
We had to have each other's backs. We weren't allowed to snitch.
Yeah, snitching was not expected in our house.
We were not allowed to tattle on each other.
I'm the only one who ever got punished, though. I don't know if you two even...
Well, I'm the youngest, so I never got punished. I don't know about you, Esther, but I'm the young. There was no punishments by the time I was growing up.
I did nothing.
Esther looks like she may have gotten a punishment or two.
There's a few. I got grounded a couple times.
I'm like still mad that they let me be comedian, like as if they had any control. The other day I was like, I don't know, I was upset. I was just like, why did anyone tell me to go to law school? Like, what the fuck?
Stop supporting my dreams.
Everyone, they were like a little too supportive. I think that they're like, oh, the third, like, let's see what happens when we tell her to become a comedian.
So you say comedian.
It was my dad's idea.
Because were you always funny, and they were like, you should be a comedian?
Everyone was funny and mentally ill, and like together, very funny, very mentally ill, and interacting with the other mentally ill people in the family. So it was just an interesting time. And then all of a sudden, someone would like explode into bitchery. But yes, I was the funny storyteller, like, let me just make everyone laugh so we'll stop screaming at each other, which didn't work, but I tried. And then I wanted to do plays and theater, and was like really into attention. And then they were like, you should do stand-up. And then by 16 I was like writing jokes, and was like, I'll be rich and famous by the time I'm 24 if I start when I'm 16. And that none of that happened. But I did just continue doing stand-up my entire life, like since I was 16. And at 17, I was doing it on the lunch tables in my high school.
That's amazing. I've been exposing my daughters to comedy. Like I'm not into telling them what to do, but they have like written some jokes. One of them really enjoys Mad Magazine. We've been watching a lot of SNL sketches. I think there's something of pride. I bet your parents were proud of you to go. If one of my kids said they wanted to go into comedy, I would be pretty proud.
Yeah, I guess, but it's such a complicated thing. Like, I guess your daughter standing on stage talking, telling jokes, and everyone's laughing is kind of fun. And my dad, like, Jewish parents me in a comedy way, so he does it. He's always just like, do you have 25 minutes? And I'm like, I'm working on it. Or like when I was a kid, it was like I was like, I'm headlining a club. Clubs? What about theaters? And I was just like,
so now your mom being from Israel, is she Israeli enough that there is like a culture gap in the humor? Like, or like Lily's husband is from Spain. I am convinced we have been in all of a family together almost 20 years, all of us, right? And I am now convinced, after having spent the summer with him, does not understand a word we've been saying for the entire time I know him.
And that's why the marriage works.
Probably. I always tell Shay, I'm like, shh, don't mess with a good thing. Just leave it.
I would love that. No, my mom is the funny one, and she's a pretty good laugher, although she'll be like, that's funny, Esty. And then she like, but it's really funny, like, to describe her. Also, she's a chemical engineer, and she's like a working woman, but also she's just a crazy Jewish mom. And her name is Miriam, and I feel like she's Mira against the world. Like, she wakes up and it's a fucking war, and she is out to battle. And like, because I'm her daughter, she's also like, okay, I will protect you. And like, she's just a wild card. But I think being in America now, she loves being American. Mm-hmm. And she does have an affinity for certain designers, and in a way where I'm like, oh, like, she has a Mercedes, fine. And then she'll have like a cool Michael Kors or Louis Vuitton purse. Okay, fine. And then she likes like a Michael Kors sweatsuit. And I'm like, now we're dipping into like new money, American dream. Like,
it's a fine line.
Like, yeah,
the sweatsuit pushes it over the edge.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, you can pick one, right?
But as we were talking about in the pre-show, your family does live in Florida.
Yeah,
she can probably get away with it in Florida.
Put it in the context of Florida.
Yeah, she's an American in Florida. She's got her Mercedes and her Gucci bag, and she's ready to go to Cheesecake Factory with her head to toe sweatsuit, matching.
She's living the dream.
I know, and her UGG boots from DSW. So it's like, ding, she is flashy.
Yeah, but
I was buying, honestly. So excited about being an American and being like, this is the country of prosperity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
that's really
so.
And I'm just like, will you leave? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to handle her sometimes. I just kind of repeat what she says and go, okay. it sounds like, like a very like therapy person.
Do a little
like,
soundboard with her.
Yeah. Or like we were in LA doing something fun. We were in Malibu and there was a woman who gave us a pretty dirty look out of the blue. Like, I don't know why. And I don't care. Right? Not my monkey, not my circus. I don't care. My mom says very loudly, she goes, "What an ugly face." What? How could she look at this ugly face? And it was so loud. And I'm like, yeah, she was giving us like a very weird look, but I always make excuses for everyone where I'm like, oh, she had a bad day, or oh, she's noticing something, or oh, I don't know. Like, I was with my kids, we were having like a little picnic. Like, I don't know what you could possibly be looking at me and judging me, but my mom called her the hell out, and she will start a fight with anyone.
Something to be said for that. So speaking of your kids, I have a question. I was doing some math. I'm not great at math, but I was doing some calculations. I was watching your totally hilarious, phenomenal, amazing special on Prime, Burning Bush, which I so highly recommend. And in it, you talk about how you walked down the aisle pregnant. You were already pregnant, walking down the aisle.
The sperm, I guess, was traveling.
Okay, you got pregnant, right? Yeah, you were like
right before.
It was like
wedding.
The rehearsal dinner or something is when we were like, someone sent us champagne and chocolate covered strawberries to our hotel room.
So like there was probably some conception going on around the time of your wedding weekend. And then later in the special, you say, oh, I got married 10 months ago. So does that mean when you recorded your special, you had
6 weeks postpartum?
How did your brain? That's insane. How did your brain even work? It's so funny. It's so fantastic. And but that's because I had babies, and at 6 weeks,
definitely at 6 weeks could not
I could not have a conversation with someone, let alone get up in front of
on a stage,
a huge crowd. And
so officially postpartum is so miserable. Everything is such a blur. It's such a hellish nightmare that unless you went through it, I just don't even think that like anyone can really describe postpartum
until you're on the other side of it. Like, it's just
like a big sad Zoloft egg, and you're like, I have a baby, but I want to kill myself. I don't know what's happening. And then hopefully it goes away, and then sometimes it doesn't. Good luck, women. So
very accurate. That description is medically accurate, 100%.
And everyone else is like, let me hold that baby. Let me hold the baby. And you're like, I'm dying inside. And they're like, oh, he's so cute. Oh no, are you gonna circumcise him? Oh, it must hurt. I'm like, you know what hurt?
Pushing out.
Yeah.
Circumcision I had in my vagina.
Yeah, exactly. Everything I'm going through hurts. But yes, the baby's getting circumcised. Okay. But anyways, so we were supposed to film in April where I was going to be like very pregnant and be like, oh, great, I'm going to do a pregnancy special. Yippee, hooray. Then they were like, hey, there's a global pandemic. And I'm like, wait, really? And then, they were like, we're canceling it. And I was like, okay, makes sense. Checks out. Like, we're in a global pandemic and they're canceling my special. Then, like, right around when I was having a baby, or maybe right after, they're like, we're rescheduling it. And I'm like, how the hell are we going to film this? And they're like, we'll do it in front of a parking lot at the Rose Bowl in LA. Well, I was in New York and I was told we were going to film in New York with like Tribeca Film Festival. And now they're like, oh no, it'll be in LA. So we'll fly you. And I'm like, but we don't fly anymore. And they're like, you're going to fly. And I'm like, okay.
Right after having a baby.
And you have a newborn.
Right. And so the biggest problem wasn't even like baby or newborn. The biggest problem was that I had been doing comedy for like 13 years and have not gotten an opportunity to film an hour. And then I got an opportunity to film an hour, and it just happened to be in like the height of a global pandemic while I had just given birth. And I was like, well, thanks for this opportunity. How am I going to work out my jokes? I mean, like when Ali Wong or someone does a special, they do have the luxury of performing in about 100 different cities, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then they film in like the best city possible.
Right.
And now I was preparing for a special and I had no opportunities to go up because I was like sequestered to my Brooklyn apartment and had a baby. So I like did a new approach, which was like typing it all out and memorizing it, which is not the approach that I've ever done before. But I was like, this is the only shot. And then I did a couple of Zoom shows, which is another thing that I absolutely despise. But you know what? When you get your opportunity in this moment, it just like I owed it to the 15 or 13 years of working hard to like step it up, memorize it, and do the work that maybe another comedian would have 100 cities to work it out and do like 5 Zoom shows. One of them for just my 2 sister-in-laws. I was just like, my husband's sisters. I was like, I'm just going to perform for you guys on Zoom. Is that cool? Okay, great. And
you could have done that for both of my brothers-in-law, neither of which English is their first language. So
that would be great. I just needed to practice. And my husband was like, you should try standing up. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to. And he's like, no, you need to practice standing on your feet for 45 minutes. And I was like, that's hard. Like just the idea of the stand-up part of stand-up was hard for me. But then I got really eye of the tiger about it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I'm going to memorize it. I'm going to win, go fight, win. And then I remember it was like 10 p.m. The baby's like crying and screaming. My husband's like, come on, like, tell me let's go. Like, you have to memorize the order of the jokes and everything. And then I'm like talking over a crying baby. And I'm like, if you can do comedy while strolling through like a pandemic-ridden Brooklyn while a baby is screaming, crying, then you can perform for Cars, apparently.
And it's great. The special is fabulous. It's fabulous.
I told everyone, I was like, I practiced in front of an empty parking lot, or I practiced in front of parked cars. Like I kept on making dumb car jokes, but in general, I'm like,
you can hear the honking in the. And
they hooked up like microphones into cars and then projected that so I could actually hear the laughter. So I have to give like the audio engineers so much credit of how they pulled it off.
Fantastic.
And they did a beautiful job putting it together because you feel like you're in
it's hard
a comedy
to tell
club.
That
it's like you're in a comedy club and it's being shown to this awesome drive-in audience of like hardcore fans that are watching this comedy show on top of it. So it looks really cool. It's got like a rock concert feel to it.
The amount of dogs that just happen to be in cars. I remember being like, I've counted 12 dogs. Like the dogs are its own drinking game. And people were like hitting weed pens or like pieces. Like I made eye contact with someone hitting a bong in their car. So I was like, this is definitely a new experience. But I think I was just so excited to be out of the house. And then of course the brand new bit I had never ever said out loud. And I told the director, I was like, I had a weird experience breastfeeding on the plane and I think it might be funny. And he was like, do it. And if it bombs, we'll cut it out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Is that a true story? Is that real? Oh my God.
I was on the way flying from New York to LA to perform and I needed to like pump and breastfeed, but I was also in a mask and also there was no food and I was so hangry and I was like gonna eat the chair. And so I pumped and drank my own breast milk, which was funny because then 5 seconds later they offered me almonds and I was like,
I'm full.
I can't get over that story. I can't get over that story. Also,
and I'm not a
hunger.
Placebo. I'm not like someone who eats a placenta. I'm not someone who like drinks breast milk or sells it. I'm not even that big of a producer. So I was like, I really do need this milk, but there's also a history of TSA being weird to moms.
Yes.
It's a whole other.
Yeah.
Which is its own like ridiculous thing. Yeah. But I was like, you can't take it away from me if I'm on the plane making it and pumping it. I specifically didn't pump right before the special because I decided that I wanted my boobs to look so big. I was like, I wanted to look like Dolly Parton for my special. Like I wasn't feeling great about my body, but I was feeling great about my Dolly Parton titties. And so I was like, the longer as the special progresses, the boobs do get bigger. And that's a special. That's a special.
Yeah.
You look beautiful in it. You are hilarious, and I so highly recommend it. Shai didn't want to bring this up because he's like, I'm not bringing this up. I'm gonna do it. I'm not bringing it up. But speaking of your body, you love talking about your body, very open talking about it. I love it. I find it exciting and refreshing, and it makes me laugh, and it's so wonderful. Like all around, yes, more of that. And you even have posed nude, semi-nude before. It's like,
very nude.
That's very wild.
And I didn't talk. Oh, now that I'm a mom, I might be like, do I want to be naked on a dirty magazine? But I'm glad that I wanted to be naked on a dirty magazine, and I did naked on a dirty magazine. Now, the backstory of all of this is that there's a photographer named Lindsay Burns who's brilliant, and she was the photographer on the show that I did, Funny Girls. I became best friends with her. She is a Jew. She's the most brilliant photographer. We've done all kinds of weird, wacky stuff, and she photographed whatever. So I guess you could call her a very, very close friend of mine. And she was in charge of the whole thing. And then another woman who was actually pregnant at the time was also in charge. So when I did Penthouse, you might picture a bunch of like nasty, sweaty Jewish guy, or not Jewish guys, but you know, like I was thinking dudes, like the porn star, like whatever his name is,
Ron Jeremy.
Like a Ron Jeremy type, being like, all right, take your top off and I'll snap some pics. But like it was Lindsay being like, okay, you're gonna look fierce, let's go. And I felt like it was a celebration of my body, and I also was excited. I don't know why, but I was like, let's go, let's do this. And it was so funny because another comedian was on the same magazine as me, named Jamie Lee, who's very funny, and we're buddies, we're friends. It says like Ester Steinberg, Jamie Lee, blah blah blah, on Penthouse magazine, and you open it up and Jamie Lee is in a t-shirt and has like a little interview of like, this is like some stuff about Jamie Lee. I'm like, oh shit. What was I thinking? Jamie Lee has a white t-shirt on, like not like nipple showing, just like a tasteful t-shirt talking about her comedy. And then you flip 6 more pages and then it's like, but I wasn't spread eagle or anything like that. I like tastefully covered my like
it's very beautiful
and vajay. Yeah. But I guess I'm about to get married. Lindsay's doing this picture stuff, and I was like, oh, this is an opportunity, and I'm probably gonna have kids and wreck my body and do crazy things.
Story.
And
that happens.
Sometimes I'm never gonna. I guess I had the foresight to be like, I'll never look like this again.
Well, I love the way
for all eternity.
Yeah,
and I'm also always trying to make Jewish women sexier. I'm not doing a lot of heavy lifting. Like Gal Gadot is doing all the heavy lifting, but I guess in a way I was like, you know what? I can be a sexy Jewish girl. Why can't Jewish women be sexy? Just because I have a college degree and I'm funny, I can't also look like a hoe.
No, I really appreciate that side of representation of stop making us into the whiny hags, we're so
hag who also doesn't wear clothes.
Right.
So
like I appreciate the sexy Jewess, beautiful.
I don't know what it accomplished, but it definitely was like a fuck you to all kinds of people and commentary of all kinds of like women better cover their bodies, all kinds of just I
like that people it's not like a specific agenda too. You were like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to accomplish anything. Just being it.
Commit to being rogue. It's like once you have nude pictures on the internet, like you're not running for office. Maybe you are. I don't know. But like,
I mean, you could. What?
Like,
better
now
than ever.
I'm not I'm not a kindergarten teacher. Like you cannot possibly expect much from me other than like being a comedian and an artist once you're like posing nude. Like it was almost like throwing in the towel of like professionalism. I was like, and here on out, I will not be considered serious. Like, please.
Wow.
But I was, yeah, I had fun. I guess I didn't get enough of a splash. Like, I kind of love that. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, there was like, I'm at a level where, you know, people are like, oh, fun, interesting, cool, hot, whatever. And no one was just like, I didn't stir up any pot.
No protesting in Tampa.
No one cares. By the way, if anyone wants to pose nude, no one cares.
Yeah,
no one cares.
I feel like, yeah, that's
great,
a great
cool.
Point.
Thanks. Okay, next. Like, who cares? It's not a big deal, but maybe it's a big deal that I just like opted to do that. I don't know. Maybe it's just shocking that like an educated woman would, without getting paid for it, take her clothes off. I will famously take my clothes off for no money. But if you offer me money, no, thank you.
Subverting expectations. I love it.
That's where you draw the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like so, I'll have sex, but for free. Like I'm not.
So you've now been an inducted member of the siblings here. You've spent, you know, a good amount of time with us here, but you have siblings as well. Yeah. How are we stacking up to yours? Like
you guys are so much better in every way.
So, but would one of us be able to make it in your family now? Like you've now survived here. Like, would you like?
No, it's not looking hopeful for us.
If you were having a Zoom with your two siblings,
how long can you hear about someone going, like organic and like that's poisonous while smoking a cigarette? Like,
okay, because we definitely hear the organic.
That is the perfect thing. It's just like, oh my god, my life is so hard, blah blah. And then the other sister's like, oh, you know, that's not good for you, and like, you want to use organic sunflower seed oil? That's $1 billion. I don't know. I have a sister who smokes cigarettes. She's artsy, and then also like lectures me about what's healthy, and I'm like.
So in fairness, Becky doesn't smoke, but Becky definitely
loves a good lecture
on what's
Becky
definitely.
I lived in Berkeley for 10 years.
Yeah,
okay, that's different.
Rubbed off on her quite a bit.
So we know you don't. So you have like a full bush under your armpits and your vagina. No,
I did live in Berkeley.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I've been in Arlington. I've been in Virginia now for 2 years, and I'm starting laser hair removal. So you know, I adapt to my surroundings. I adapt to my surroundings very well. But yes, I've calmed down a lot, but I've been known to, you know, maybe give some unsolicited advice.
We call it like a mini bit in the show. We call it Diagnosis Becky, where Becky just she is not qualified to be a doctor, but she just
I'm just like a naturopath.
I lecture people about sugar. I'm like a salty, savory person. So I'll like dump a pile of salt on everything. And then I look at any person in my life that's a sugar person. And I'm like, you know, sugar is so bad for you.
It's so addictive. And that's the silent killer.
And that's what's killing you. It's the sugar. Get rid of sugar. Your life.
You're so concerned with your calorie count, but are you checking the sugar content? How many grams of added sugar?
Kiss my ass.
Thank you for the.
You have extraordinary high blood pressure, but you're fine.
Yeah.
There's no sugar.
Now I'm anxious from the lecture I've received.
But my siblings are really cool. They're like, I do think we're very different, but we all kind of share the same thread of like interested in spirituality and like higher power, and have this, I don't know what it is. Like one sister's a little more witchy, like crystals, and I'm more like the Shabbat candles and do prayers, and the other one's like, I spoke to God yesterday, and
so in
psychotic breakdown.
In addition to comedy, you're a trained actor, right? You went to NYU, is that correct?
Yeah,
NYU?
I can cry on command. I can do it.
What were some of the things that you acted in, whether they're comedy or otherwise, that you loved?
I don't know. We've done plays, and I like Shakespeare plays. I did a play, Much Ado About Nothing, and things like that, but we would do monologues, and I was a big monologue person. When I was in high school, I competed doing monologues, and when I auditioned for college, I did monologues. So it's like, for me, the easy part is a monologue, but the hard part is like listening to the other person and reacting. And I think I've now enjoyed that more. But when I was like in school, I was like the monologue girl. I like to make like a meal out of like just a bitchy rant. And so probably channeling my family members of sorts. But gosh, I don't know that there's one thing I can. I wrote and did my own movie with a friend of mine from college named Eric. And then we did a 2-person, 1-woman show, which we were kind of making fun of 1-woman shows by being like dramatic and self-indulgent and talking about our childhood and how we got here. But the whole point was that it was like a American Airlines flight, because we double booked by accident. So it was supposed to be my night, me, and I was an egomaniac actress talking about like my life wearing a black turtleneck. And then this guy comes on who's a friend of mine and is like, excuse me, this is my show. And so we bicker and fight. And then it turns into like, we help each other tell each other's stories. And that's probably something I just loved it. And we like piled it with jokes and jokes.
What was it called?
Esther and Eric's 1-woman show. And some of the flyers were like, his face was like crossed out. And I was like, Esther's show. And so it was, I still like, kind of, I'm like, do we revive it? But it was just like so fun. And that's I wrote that, and we performed it, and we talked about our lives.
And so you write too. That was my next question. Is what kind of stuff do you write? Is it within the world of comedy only? Is it I don't know, maybe you're also writing like family drama or no family story, like a kids movie. Maybe now with kids you're writing a kids movie.
No, not kids stuff. Fuck the kids. But they have quite enough entertainment. I think we're maxed out. We don't need a single more screen for a kid. So I've always been obsessed with writing my own stuff because I've always been disappointed with female characters, and that goes like, I mean, there's some good female characters that Shakespeare wrote and were played by men, but
you're like, that's the last time there was a good female character.
Jenner wasn't played by a woman.
Or 1600s.
It feels frustrating, my life, just getting auditions and just feeling like disconnected from the roles. Like there's plenty of juicy, amazing roles that are going to Natalie Portman and like, or no, I don't know. But like there's so many amazing, juicy female roles. I just didn't ever get one on my lap and an opportunity. So I was like, okay, I'll write this. So I've written a couple of like short films and movies. Then I was like, okay, I'm writing a pilot right now, and it's about being a mom. It's like my own version of Better Things, because I'm obsessed with Better Things and the realness and rawness of that show. Mm-hmm. Maybe Louis C.K. will produce it. Who knows? So then there's that. And then me and my husband wrote a movie, and one of it takes place in Tampa, and it's like bachelorette party that turns into a pirate curse.
Okay.
Very wacky and very funny.
That sounds
more
good.
Like hangovery. And then there's the rom-com that we wrote based on our relationship, where we opened up our relationship, me and my husband. He wanted to fuck other people, so before we got engaged. And at first I was like, how dare you? And then I was like, you know what, let's do it. And I moved to LA. He was in New York. We saw other people, and then it ended by him proposing to me and me being like, but I was having so much fun. So our real story is an open relationship that has like a happy ending, but not without me like falling for some human red flag who was like a hip hop singer, and it was just dangerous. I was like, this does not. I know. So
Wow, that's very unique.
Lily has a lot of
great.
questions
I
because
have so
Lily
many
loves
questions.
a star-crossed lover situation.
Oh,
Lily
Yes.
And I love rom-coms. And
So I
it's
did
nice
a
to
star
break the mold.
crossover. My first one that I wrote was called Williamsburg Romance, and it didn't really go anywhere, but I was living in New York, and I decided to write a love story between like a hipster Jewish kid from like New Jersey, whatever, and then an Orthodox girl in like Hasidic Williamsburg. They both live in Williamsburg. They both like old things, and they both wear black. So what could go wrong?
That's amazing.
That's
I am
great.
very intrigued.
I want to read that.
Wait, did it
And
not
I
go
wanna read
anywhere? As in, like, not like it didn't get produced, or not go anywhere? Like you started the story and like it didn't go anywhere. I'm just curious.
So I was just like a senior at NYU, and I decided after having an acting degree and taking a bunch of writing classes that I would like write and make my own film, and like just directed it myself. And then I didn't really know how to edit, so I learned how to edit, and I kind of edited it myself. And then I didn't know what to do with it from there, and I never nailed the editing. And I think I had like a computer crash in the middle of my editing and got so frustrated. And it was like this weird lesson to myself that I needed to finish projects, because I remember I like took a pause, and I also did like a documentary in college. So I did a lot of like fun things
I
in
really
college.
want to see this Williamsburg Romance movie, though.
There might
Is there like a bootleg? Is there like the Star Wars Holiday Special VHS version floating around?
So a friend of mine filmed it. No, a friend of mine helped me edit it, and I hated the way he edited it, and I loved him, but he was like an assistant for me. He was like, I'm here to help with whatever you need. So he's like, I'll edit. And I remember being like, this is not at all the movie that we made, because editing, you can do anything. So then I was like, wait a second. The editing is so much more important than anything. So I have to like get in with my own hands and edit it. So I definitely self-taught myself to edit. And I remember at that time I had left New York with my footage and went to LA with my sister, and we like shared a studio apartment. And anyways, I edited this thing, and then I think the computer crashed, and then I tried it again. Like, I was just like frustrated. If like from then on, I told myself like, I will never get into this computer crash excuse, because I kind of wish I had it. But then later I did another movie about a short film about taking mushrooms in Joshua Tree. And everyone says that like everyone changes when they move to LA. So the answer was this girl captures her friend who's like visiting LA. They do mushrooms in the desert, and then a different version of him enters and leaves the old version of him in the desert, and they like drive off. So it was like an answer of like, people do change because the like psycho robot alien version of themselves goes.
I believe everything you're saying, only from all the people I see on Instagram that go to Joshua Tree.
Like,
right. I'm taking my kids to Joshua Tree next month.
You went to California a long time ago and came back different. So that's
people change.
Becky was our fashion sister. I want you to know, like you know how you're describing. Becky didn't wear matching sweatsuits, but like of the three of us, Becky's the fancy sibling.
Mm-hmm.
Becky moved to Berkeley.
I love fashion, but my checking account banking situation does not match with my style. Like I'm always just like,
Becky.
oh, if
Becky's trick was, I don't know if she wants me to say this. Becky had rich friends.
Just get a lot of hand-me-downs.
Who gave her a lot of really, I mean, they're wonderful people, gave her a lot of really nice dresses and stuff. And I remember coming back, like visiting at home when Becky was in her fanciest phase, being like, who is this? Becky went to Berkeley, lived there for a decade, and Becky's
as your wife put it to me recently, I love how you just have this, masculine style now. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah.
She means like galoshes and a sweater that would fit
that's great.
A 6 foot tall man. That's
like, so it's just like one thing in your outfit that looks like you got it from the men's section. And I'm like,
I like
more
that.
comfortable with myself now.
I'm all about it. I'm also really about self-expression. in your way you dress or your hair or your makeup or this or that. I'm like all about. I'm just like, if you want a tattoo or a weird piercing, it's like I feel like life is a little too short to like wear a Gap t-shirt and walk around plain Jane. I'm like, just go for it. Or unless you're trying to express yourself as plain Jane. Like I have a ton of really, really, really stupid hats. And if I wear, and I'm wearing one of my dumbest hats right now, but if I wear stupid hats, how dare you take me seriously? You know, like if I'm a hot,
it's like your fault. It's like it's your fault.
Yeah.
If you take me seriously, you've brought it on yourself. Because I warned you with my hat.
I'm wearing a very dumb shirt with a flamingo on it. Like, why would you start a fight or try to have a serious conversation with me? Because I am clearly like I think I have half my fashion is like a Jimmy Buffett, and the other is Amy Sherman Palladino right now. No, like a hat girl. I don't know when that happened. I don't know, you guys. Are you Becky's gonna like show up like Emily in Paris one day?
Hi. I'm back.
Hey, every once in a while, I still bring it. If there's a special event,
you should. I mean,
know how to
Becky looked like. I feel like Becky dressed like Audrey Hepburn for your bat mitzvah? Was that what? There's some picture.
You're conflating two events, but sure, you're on the right track.
You're close enough, adjacent.
Okay.
I also think a lot of people who are rich, I've seen them, don't quite have like style or fashion, but they've purchased like a Chanel tweed coat or something.
Tweed.
Like
somebody told me this was fancy.
But you look like a hot mess who just threw what's happening?
There's some problems you cannot throw money at, and that is one of them.
But I will say, I think the richest, fanciest people are like the folks on Succession, where they're wearing what could be a Gap sweater and jeans that cost $3,000.
I love like a black t-shirt, and then you find out it's like Scotch and soda, and it was $400. Like that's I can't wait to have that kind of money.
My parents gave for my husband as like he loves like a black t-shirt situation, and they for a Hanukkah gift just like a really beautiful black t-shirt. I think it's like some part cotton, some part a little bit of silk, so it looks like cotton but super soft.
Wait, hold on. We just need an aside. Lily's husband is he's not too tall, but he is like 100% pure muscle martial arts champion.
He's a professional
Spanish guy that looks.
He looks like Scott Bakula.
Looks like Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula, a young Scott Bakula. Yeah, he's a cutie, and so they like, and I was like looking at him, and I was like, you need to you made a great point in your special about Jews that convert, and he converted, and you're talking about girls and they just have to know how to return something. I knew my husband would be able to become Jewish because the man has never bought something like full price. Like since I've met him, he's like, we'll get everything on a discount, deal. Like you have no idea.
When you go visit them, he runs into the room after you've left and turns off the air conditioner.
So I love it. My mom will haggle at an Neiman Marcus. She will be like, I'll give you this much. And we're like, it's not the shook. It's not the shook.
Exactly. But that's how you know, like it was going to be fine for him to convert. And anyways, back to this t-shirt. The point is that it's a very expensive, just like looks like a normal black t-shirt, but it's one of those things that it's like, wow, this is like an expensive black t-shirt. And he was like really excited about it. It's so soft. It feels so great. And then he just looked at me. He's like, but how do you wash it? And I was like, well, I don't know. And then I like look at all the tags and it's like, this can only be hand washed in some like lukewarm 20-degree weather or by a special lady at the store, whatever, at the dry cleaner and like a special press. And I was like, this shirt is garbage. I was like, if I can't throw it in with like a load of baby socks on cold, I don't want it. I don't give a shit how much this shirt costs.
Febreze spray, and then
I was like, you know what?
Air it out.
We're never washing this
shirt. It's
a
black t-shirt. You never.
I was like, you know what? This shirt will never be washed because you're going to ruin it. I'm like, I don't want something that fancy. I was like,
it's too much responsibility.
Those kinds
a
of
black
people
shirt
have
with...
other people to take their stuff to the dry cleaner. I was like, this is not happening in this house.
So Esther, one of the
my
things,
philosophy on fancy clothes.
One of the things we love to talk about with people is movies, because we love movies. Movies like the love language in our family. So we've talked about the ones you've written. We've talked about stuff that you've been in, but now we just want to talk about what you like. And we've developed a questionnaire of 5 questions that we're not going to, I don't, unless you have like an enormous amount of time, I won't bother you with all of them. But that helps like truly understand someone's movie taste, right? And if there's someone like you are movie wise compatible with. And so, are you ready to be asked a few questions?
Yeah, but just so you know, Moana has become number 1, and it's so embarrassing because it's like, what movie do you watch now? Moana.
Well, that's it.
That's the answer. That's the answer to one of the questions.
That's part of the question. So here's the thing. Okay.
And I feel depressed saying that.
Well, but
I mean, that's a really good.
It's got Jermaine Clement and
how
Lin-Manuel Miranda music.
You kidding?
Yeah.
You're lucky. You're lucky you're watching Moana.
I saw it in the theater with my kids.
It could be much worse.
You could be watching Trolls, okay?
Yeah. Trolls is rough. Okay, so what are these aren't like definitive for your life, but like right now, what are 5 or 3 to 5 desert island movies you would always need with you?
So it's so funny. Like I can't exit my childhood.
Don't.
Like these
Why would
movies
you?
are.
Why
they're
would you?
not.
Lily's got the never-ending story with her from 1987.
Okay. It's Clueless.
Oh, it's on mine too. That's also on mine.
It's important, and like Spaceballs, and
that's a great one.
That's a great.
Like White Chicks, like from back in the day, like the hot chick. I like any body swap, like body. Oh, I wanted to write an anticlimactic body swap movie where they're like twins. I also like. I don't know. I guess like The Matrix. How boring am I? And like
Matrix, amazing.
I know it's a really good film. I'm trying to think.
We had an amazing.
Spaceballs is number 1.
Yeah,
okay,
that's a great choice.
Matrix, Hot Chick. Wait, which one? Which chicks? Something about
Hot Chicks and White Chicks.
So,
both
done. That's 5.
Oh, and then The Notebook was when I was a kid. Like I was in cheerleading, and we took a bus of cheerleaders from like Tampa to Jacksonville to do the big competition, and they played the Notebook. I had no idea what it was
on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you could cheer. I don't know how you could cheer. Was it a sabotage?
Sobbing.
You were sabotaged
girls, and
for that championship.
Exactly. And I remember just the waterworks and like having like a headache from how much crying I did, and still like watched it over and over and over. And now I probably couldn't watch a minute of it because I just killed it when I was 11. Like I just watched it enough. But like I remember that being life changing. Like I was such a romantic watching that. I was like, I love it.
What is your favorite movie that would surprise people? So you've named movies that are like your favorites, but is there like it's not a guilty pleasure per se, but like you wouldn't look at me and say like I have a gutter palate, so I don't know if there's anything I could say that surprised people at this point. But like Becky and Lily all have ones that are, you wouldn't,
surprise people.
A movie that would surprise people that you like.
Oh, well, the other day I watched Vin Diesel, The Pacifier, which is an atrocious movie. And it had me like in stitches.
Lauren Graham does kung fu in that movie, I think, at the end.
Yeah.
I watched that many times with my children.
It's so embarrassing that I like loved it so much. Like Vin Diesel is just perfect, and he's the like Navy SEAL guy who's like comes into the house and like babysits the 5 kids with like military style like tricks and this and that, and puts like, and now I'm like anything that's like mom, like parenting. Yeah, that's probably like such a bad movie that's so good.
What's a question that you would want to know about other people's movie tastes? Like the question I always want to know from people is like, what's your favorite music moment in a movie? That's a question I always ask people. What's a question you want to know about people's movie taste?
Well, I guess like it's like pee your pants laughing moments. Like in Bridesmaids, I think she gets like stuck on the gate in like the first 5 seconds, and it was just like for some reason it just like hit a chord with me, and I was like peeing my pants laughing. Or like certain parts of The Hangover. I guess I just want to know like what is making you pee your pants laugh, and occasionally I can get like that. That's just really good for me. I like that.
Calling back to our mom, there are so many movies we've seen that are better because she has laughed that hard. Like there
like
are movies.
If you weren't seeing it with her, you wouldn't necessarily like it. But like you're watching her watch the movie, and you're like, "This is the best movie ever," because she's laughing so hard.
Oh, Zoolander is like my number one. When I was like, I laughed so hard at every part. It's such a dumb movie, and
you're the second person. So we just interviewed
in like a few days.
We just interviewed Louis Ozawa, who stars on on Hunters, the show on Amazon, which also hosts Burning Bush. Mm-hmm. So Louis Ozawa, and he also brought up Zoolander.
It's embarrassing.
And he also went to NYU, and he's a very well-trained actor. So
maybe that's just like maybe that's something in common between NYU. Trained actors. Zoolander.
We appreciate the nuances of Zoolander.
Have you guys seen Zoolander?
Us? Yeah, I just showed it to my daughters. My daughters
generational thing, maybe. Unfortunately,
we always ask our daughter. I always ask my daughters to rate the movies we see according to the rating system we use on our show, which is buy, rent, or meh. Those are the 3 levels.
Yes.
And they gave Zoolander a rent because they didn't know who any of the celebrities were. So like there were all these jokes with celebrities. The only person they knew was David Bowie. Everybody else, they were like,
what did your youngest say? They're like, I guess they spent all the money in this movie on David Bowie.
Yeah, because I don't know who anybody else in this movie is.
It was so good, and I think for people our age, it stands the test of time. That movie was
I know, or maybe it's so terrible, but it's like a reminder of like what made me laugh when I was 13 or so. I don't know. It's confusing. Maybe I don't know, but I definitely always wonder like what made you absolutely lose your shit like laughing.
Do you want to actually know? I mean, you can ask that.
Yeah, have you guys like peed your pants laughing at a movie?
Yeah, it's anything like it's
urine, like, but almost.
It's the
well. First of all, my
diarrhea.
Sisters have peed their pants many times.
But like
even before childbirth.
You give me a good, well-structured diarrhea scene, and I will lose my shit. Like
so, Bridesmaids.
That's
Van Wilder.
Perfection.
You love that Van Wilder scene so much.
And Van Wilder when Van Wilder gets the villain, the like X-Lax. Dumb and Dumber. Jeff Daniels is shitting his pants. Like
even that Emma Roberts one, which like I don't remember.
That movie was not good. The Holiday, but then the Holiday, I was like, oh, this movie's a big meh for like rom-coms. But then Emma Roberts gets diarrhea, and I'm like, I am on board.
Yeah, wait a second.
Just got better. I was like, if you're getting some diarrhea cramps on a date and you have to like secretly shit your pants, I was like, I am here for the secret every time
to success is
like a little bit of diarrhea, and you've got me in a movie. I'm done.
Shai, you go. I'm trying to think.
For me, so I have like a very vivid memory. I was in college, and my buddy and I, we would just go to the movies all the time. Just whatever's out there, we're going to go see. And we went to see this movie that no one had ever heard of called Super Troopers. Have you seen Super Troopers?
Oh, sure.
So like unknown movie, we saw this thing, and the moment, right? So we had no idea what we were watching. I mean, this is one of my favorite movies of all time now. I've seen it so many times. But there is a scene early on where he puts the bar of soap in the coffee, and he's like, oh, you got, rookie. And at that moment, we kind of realized what we were watching, and we laughed so hard we were crying. But then afterwards, just to put some pee in the story, because I don't want you to... We're in the bathroom at the Paramount in Montreal. Remember, Lil Beck, the Paramount down on Peel Street, and
we remember. I don't think Ester's ever been.
No, I said Lillian Becky. Just making sure you get the scene. So we're in the back. It's big. It's like it's whatever the big movie theater in your town was, right? And we're all standing at the urinals, and then just like one by one, each of us starts remembering the scene and starts like giggling and laughing so hard we're crying and shaking pee everywhere. And so Super Troopers will be the hardest, like one of my hardest, most sincere laughs ever is during that movie.
Let them know. Get them on this show. Yeah.
Oh my God. Are you kidding? Any one of those guys would be amazing to tell them all about that. And by the way, just if people are listening, Super Troopers 2 is close to as funny as the first one. I think it is.
I wonder if Wet Hot American Summer, that kind of humor can sometimes like out of the blue like tickle me to a point where I'm like laughing so hard, just like the dumbest stuff.
And who are the comedians that you like or recommend?
Giving Becky
or
time
like,
here also.
Yeah, or we can just close it out. Becky finds something funny. That's fine.
So I just saw
unless you want to save that for shout
Chelsea Handler's newest special and was
on Netflix,
so impressed with it. It's her brand new one on Netflix, and I'm usually just like sometimes underwhelmed by people's specials or whatever, but like this really was great, and it was like making me laugh. I saw Ari Shaffir's special Jew, and I was like, this is just like recent specials that I'm talking about. Beth Stelling is phenomenal, and she's like always one of my faves. And wait, there's just so many that I'm like, I'm gonna like not mention someone that I'm obsessed with for some reason, but
we can do shout outs and rips, and then you can have
the new one, which is Mike Birbiglia's like special where he talks about being a parent, is just so delicious and so funny. I'm trying to gather more thoughts, but I think that's pretty good. That's what's happening currently right now. Yeah. Chelsea's new special does a good job of like putting men in their place in a way that I was like, thank you.
Well,
she's so good.
It's not
that we hate men, but really, really, she does a good job.
It's not a movie moment, but since Esther is talking about specials, the last thing that I saw that made me laugh until it was beyond, it was like the level beyond, I'm going to pee my pants. Like I couldn't
When you go silent, when you break the sound barrier.
I went silent and I broke the sound barrier. And I couldn't see because it was just hysterical tears. Was Alex Edelman's show Just for Us. And it has, but it's very specifically the section where he talks about his brother being an Israeli Olympian in the winter sport of skeleton. And when he varies like that section describing his family and his brother being an Olympic athlete, I still can't get over. I'm still laughing. Like my body's still shaking from how hard I was laughing.
That show is very funny.
Yeah, that show is genius. That's
you guys watched it in person, like
he was here.
Not twice.
So it was in DC for like a month. He did a residency here, so Becky and I went.
I haven't seen it, but he is a friend of mine. We went to college together.
It's unreal.
That's amazing. It was great.
Really
so Becky and I went, and then in the car home, every single person who went bought tickets either to go again or for somebody else to go.
I bought a bunch of people tickets on the ride home. I was like, you need to see this, you need to see this. And then I went again with Lily like a few weeks later. Yeah.
So you've been so generous with your time. This has been so much fun. We're not, or you still have a little more time? Are you okay?
I have a minute. I would love to. Yeah.
We're keeping you. I mean, we are keeping you away from your children. We are
in here. I know. Just tell the nanny that I'll be right there. Okay. I don't have a nanny, but sometimes I'll wear a wig and be like, oh, I'm the nanny.
Like Miss Nelson is missing. My son loves that book.
Wow, that book. I didn't know until I was an adult, by the way, that Miss Nelson was Viola Swamp. Yeah, I keep
spoiler alert for my son. I keep being like that's okay. You realize it's the same person, right? You realize the trick she's playing on those kids. I don't know if you don't know that book, Esther. Miss Nelson is missing. It's amazing for kids.
Little,
maybe when
little
they're
guy?
no, maybe when they get
Like
a little
5?
bit older. Like 5. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about a teacher who's the kids are misbehaving, so she goes away, and then the evil substitute, Miss Viola Swamp, comes.
Oh
And-
yeah, that's important. You need to just like as a teacher, you got to flip out on them. I think
Yeah,
you got to be,
you
or
always
you
gotta
lose your opportunity. If you just start nice, it's over.
It's kind of like parenting in a way.
Yeah.
So we're in the part of the show where you give your shout outs and recommendations. Are there shout outs, like for example, for me, I want to give a shout out to Dina Goldberg, because
Dina Linder, Goldberg Linder, Dina Goldberg Linder,
Dina Linder Goldberg.
Well, she got married and she uses Linder, but then she also uses Goldberg. So it's very confusing, as is my name very confusing, because I refuse to give up Steinberg, yet I changed my name to Garden Swords. ?
Fair enough. But Dina's in my phone as Goldberg.
Me too. Too.
Dina Goldberg, Linder, who is a geneticist. She's also an incredibly talented singer. She goes by Dina Mara on Instagram. And my shout out to her is she's super talented, and people should listen to the amazing stuff she's doing on genetics, particularly on Jews and genetics. But she's also the person that introduced Esther to me and to us so that we could get you on the show. So my shout out today goes to Dina.
That's sweet. I
Um,
love Dina.
You don't have to go right away, Esther. You can like think for a moment if you want while Lily goes, because Lily's ready. I can see.
I'm going to shout out Burning Bush on Amazon because
second that
there's also Hebrew School Dropout
on Spotify.
On Spotify, yeah, that I was gonna say you can listen to on Spotify. Which
but Burning Bush and Hebrew School Dropout are on Spotify too. So
you can.
I don't know what's more economically advantageous to you. Where should people?
I don't know.
Well, I think it's fun to watch you perform. I think the Prime
really
is
fun to
Venmo me.
When we do our handles at the end,
I recommend watching because for the boobs, but also it's lovely to see you perform. And like your rhythm and how, the telling of the jokes and all that. So I recommend that for sure. And Hebrew School Dropout is also fantastic on Spotify.
I second all that. Excellent. I recommend that as well.
And Becky Becky also recommends Cats.
Oh, Cats the musical, which, so we took our kids on the weekend. Listen, guys, it's on tour right now. It's doing a few days in each city in a bunch of different cities. If it's coming to your city, go see Cats again. Revel in the joy of the madness that is Cats. Bring your kids. Mine loved it so much. Came home, we watched the movie, then we got tickets to go see it again in 2 months when it's in Philadelphia.
Becky's kids I sat next to Becky's kids. Her youngest child took over 3 seats, took over Becky's seat, her own seat, and her sister's seat. Her sister then spent the rest of the show just rolling between me and Becky's husband.
But dancing. And loving
they were very
and
into it. They were super into it, and were on the edge of ruining it for all of the old people around us. But they had so much fun. And one of my favorite parts was I kept asking Becky's older kid during the show, which one's your favorite cat so far? And every time a new one comes, she goes, that one's my favorite. But then McCavity comes for like the big bad guy scene. And at the end, she goes, Tio Shy, the bad guy is my favorite, which is a very consistent refrain. She also loves the lava monster in Moana. It does.
Oh, yeah. Tafiti.
You're on a first name basis.
You're on a first name basis with the lava monster. Yeah.
So
I had to fast forward those scenes. My son would not watch them.
Esther, how about you? Esther, how about you?
Okay, so I got it. There's a couple of people that I wanted to recommend. Well, they're all Jews. Gary Goldman is like the best comedian, hands down, in the whole world. I'm obsessed with him. I've opened for him before, and he's like nice guy, perfect human, and his jokes are insane. I listen to his albums like over and over. Gary Goldman. Elon Gold just put out another like thingy, a special where it's very funny, and Jews just eat him up like it's salty kugel or sweet kugel. Like they just love Elon Gold, and I guess I'm part of that group. And then my best friend, like partner in crime, from college that I was talking about earlier is Eric Williams. He's really, really funny. He's a gay Jew and he has a podcast, gay ass podcast. He's just the best, funniest guy alive. And then I'm reading Natasha Leggero's book. She converted to Judaism. She's a Jew now. And her book is awesome. The World Doesn't Deserve My Children. And she's so funny. I'm reading the book now and almost done with it. And then she has a podcast with her son, with her husband, Moshe. And it's just really, really funny. Then the big shout out is my kids. I am starting. I've done a couple of sketches with Moses, my older.
Oh my
son.
God, the one of you going on your trip is hilarious.
There's some good editing right there.
Thank you.
Could tell you're an editor.
Camera, like really high-end camera work, or was that just cinema mode on your iPhone? Like, what was that? That was fantastic.
A camera and set up all the shots totally on my own without a single help. Like I used a giant teddy bear as a stand-in so that I could like focus it and then I'd get and sit down. It was the weirdest thing. But then we've done like a doctor sketch where he's like playing with Mr. Potato Head. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a really funny sketch. It's an out of work actor doing playtime and taking it too seriously. And I'm like,
I've not seen that yet, but that's amazing.
So there's some good sketches and I do plan on doing more with my kids. I think a lot of celebrities want to hide their children from the internet and my celebrity level is low enough that I don't need to hide my children. It's like at a perfect level that I have absolutely no worry for my kids. So I can just put them on the internet and I'm like, I can put pictures of them, but really they are my scene partners. And I've always wanted to work with like a handsome young Jewish actor.
Perfect. Done.
And now I have two co-stars.
You got some very good kids.
I'm really trying to, so we're not going to let them act whatsoever in like professional environments, but we are 100% going to let them propel my career forward.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And they're great in it too. I mean, your elder son's bit about
basketball.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
Your running bit with basketball and him is hilarious.
What's the running bit?
Don't you have a bit where he talks about basketball, right? Where he says the word basketball, but kind of in a funny way?
Yeah. I don't know where I talked about that, but yeah.
Isn't that on Instagram? That's on Instagram. I feel like
maybe basketball.
Like I said,
at 6 a.m, I'm outside watching him play basketball and I'm just like I can't actually open my eyes and I have to be like really good and people get mad they're not mad, but I've heard about 100 times random comedians be like, all people do is they have kids just so they can post pictures on Instagram, and they get mad about posting pictures of your kids on Instagram. And I'm here to say that the reason people post pictures of their kids on Instagram is because they cannot post pictures of themselves because they look like a zombie, a homeless zombie who's been like there's no self-care. There's no like waking up and putting on eyeshadow. Like I look so awful and disheveled that the only thing that I could possibly post is a picture of my like bright-eyed, glowing, gorgeous child. And I'm just like,
it's really a content management thing.
The cuter your kid looks, the more horrific you look. Like I look like a scary zombie witch. I don't know if you saw Wednesday, but at the very end where like the proctor comes alive, I'm like, that's
yes.
Well, that must be how you feel. What about you?
Andy has a cool hat.
The sketches that you're doing with the kids are hilarious. Your Instagram is Ester.Steinberg, correct?
Yeah. And I'm taking my clothes off again for some yoga posts because I've been obsessed with hot yoga and I want to post pictures of me after class. And I swear I'm doing it to motivate everyone to go and do yoga and exercise and take like a minute for themselves to work out. Just a minute, just a whole 60 seconds. Go work out.
That's about as much working out as I like to do. But I bet
no sugar.
No sugar. All the salt you want.
We're gonna go eat very salty nachos after. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Salt lick, but no sugar.
I want to say,
but also with a cigarette.
I want to say
this should be like a diet podcast. amazing.
I want to say a huge thank you to Esther Steinberg for making time to hang with us and be part of the family. Thank you so much, Esther. This is awesome.
Thank you.
I'm
Really.
officially adopted, and please send your mom to my son's bar mitzvah in about 11 minutes.
Done.
She will come. We have cousins in Tampa, so watch out.
Yeah.
She has people to visit. Lily, cousin Ashley. Shout out to cousin Ashley, star of the Home Shopping Network.
True story.
You guys are stars. This is the Kardashian family.
It is. It's an empire.
Lily,
Empire. Yes.
Where can people follow you and Becky? Because I know you do all the Instagram lifting.
Yes, at FNM Sisters on Instagram.
It's entirely unfair.
Becky, what do you have to say to yourself?
Follow us at FNM Sisters. I know the handle. That's number one. Number two, I come up with the ideas. I'm the idea man.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but
I came up with 2 ideas.
2 ideas. Okay.
And you can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 Table, Pancake 4 Table on Twitter and Instagram. All the Friday Night Movie shenanigans are at Friday Night Movie and FridayNightMovie.com. The theme music is by What Does It Eat? Again, a huge thank yous to Esther Steinberg. Everyone check out Burning Bush on Amazon Prime and all of her amazing comedy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, really.